Welcome to the Two Blokes Chatting radio show on 94.7 The Pulse. Music, interviews, news, and, well, Two Blokes Chatting. Now, here are the two blokes.
This is indeed the regional roundup. We've had some very interesting guests finding out lots of different things that are happening around, and as mentioned before the break, the Mottawarri clubs, football and cricket that I'm connected with, got together and we thought we'd help out the people at Buchan after bushfires had ravaged that town. Matt Whelan was the president of the footy club then, probably still is. He came all the way to Mottawarri with family and friends. Had a great night and day, and hopefully has spent some money that we helped raise. Matt Whelan is on the line. Good morning and welcome to the Two Blokes Chatting radio show.
Thanks for having me, guys. Yeah, thank you.
I've got to tell you, Matt, we've got our fingers crossed and everything else crossed because Rob and I are sitting in different studios now because at the break, when that song was on, we've actually tried something and it's worked. We are we're beyond excited. So if Rob's got a little bit of a bounce in his step, that'll be the reason why.
I'm definitely bouncing. Matt, it was bad times back then. We're really pleased that we were able, as a joint club effort, to make a bit of a difference, a few dollars to help out. Hopefully that money got to where it was supposed to, and hopefully you've added something to your community. But on the back of that, you get everything up and down, and then along comes COVID. How tough's it been down there for you during this period?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, like obviously, first of all, I'd like to thank the Mottawarri Football and Cricket Club for what day they did put on. It was everyone did enjoy it, myself included, and it did take a couple of days to get over it, I must admit.
Why? Because it's such a long drive.
It was good. But yeah, no, we with the funds that you guys ended up raising for us over there, we split between the football and netball club and also the cricket club up at Buchan. So that got us into a few supplies, training equipment and stuff like that that we got into, and the junior kids, a fair few of them lost gear and stuff like that during the fires, merchandise and bits and pieces. So that helped us sort of kit the younger sort of brigade out, I suppose, around the clubs. And then also, off the back of COVID, obviously tough for all country clubs, metro clubs, everyone in general. But we put together some good community free events, meals and stuff like that to sort of get everyone back together and get down to the clubs and have a feed on us, which in turn, come from you guys as well.
So, Matt, just for those who are playing along at home, Rob and I both know, and some listeners probably don't, just explain to us where we would find Buchan, how we would get to, and don't use the old joke, please, how we would get to Buchan from Melbourne.
So, Buchan from Melbourne, you head east, approximately about 3.5 to 4 hours, through the beautiful East Gippsland area, down through Bensdale, and then head up through the hills there, about an hour east of Bensdale.
So Bensdale's sort of the shopping mecca for the folk who live in Buchan.
Yeah, it's Bensdale and then Orbost is a bit further east, but mainly Bensdale these days, yeah.
And I suspect there'd be a few people going, I've heard the name Buchan before in relation to a tourist destination. There is some caves there, are there not? Yeah,
mate, absolutely beautiful caves there. Obviously copped a bit of damage during the fires as well, come right through the whole caves reserve. And fair bit of damage and stuff, but they are up and open and running now. Beautiful caves up through that area. Yeah.
Are they any taller? When I was in there last, I was about 14, and I found myself stooping there. At 6'3", I would struggle, I suspect.
Yeah, I actually took the kids through only a couple of weeks ago, and you do have to duck and watch your head a bit.
Matt, one thing we've found consistently when we've done this regional roundup is community coming together, working together. I sensed the group that you brought with you to Mottawarri, diverse group, friends themselves, but really centred on what was good about your community. Has that been the major thing that's helped get you through, the resilience and support of each other?
Yeah, it has, mate. It really has. Obviously, everyone sort of copes with things different ways, and people got hit different ways. Obviously, some people losing property and houses, and other people losing livestock and fences, and even just general seeing the area burnt the way it was. There's some people that been there all their lives and couldn't recognise the area for months on end. So everyone sort of took it a bit differently. It took a bit longer to come back to the community, and some sort of jumped back on board straight away. But as a whole, both the cricket club and the footy and netball clubs, we sort of got together and said we really need to get this off the ground and get everyone back out and about and just talking and stuff like that. So, it has been good. Yeah, challenging but good.
I know there's been people, I've spoken to people who lived in Darwin and were there in 74 when Tracy came through, that's to say the cyclone, and blew the town away literally. And some said, they got on the plane and flew out of there and never went back. Is there an element of that with some of the folk around Buchan when the fires came through, they said, no, stuff this, I'm going somewhere else to live, or has the community pretty much stayed together?
The community pretty much has stayed. There's a few that obviously had to leave town because it got too dangerous, and then a few elderly people that left and came back sort of months later, but to my knowledge, everyone has got back there now, mate. And they're slowly rebuilding. There is a few that have got back into their new houses, but there is a few that are still waiting, just due to red tape and bits and pieces like that, which unfortunately happens when most of these events happen. But just trying to keep everyone positive.
What about rebuild of the town? You mentioned farms and fences and livestock. You can sort of get them back in time, but homes are a more difficult thing to build. Are most people now back in a proper house from the ones that lost it during the fires?
They all, not everyone, I suppose. There is a few that are direct with the footy club have moved back in only in the last few months, that were living in temporary accommodation, being caravans or mobile cabins, I suppose. But there still is a few that are still living in them sort of arrangements or sheds that have been decked out for people to live in. So they are getting there slow. Their houses have made a start, so that's, I suppose, one step forward. It's just a matter of process. And off the back of COVID, obviously everything in materials and stuff like that's just another spanner in the works. It's held everything up, and but everyone is trying to stay positive, yeah.
Because I do a bit of podcasting, and I interviewed a couple of people from your neck of the woods. I'm trying to think of the guy's name who runs the pub. I interviewed him about 12 months ago, 6 months ago, whenever it was. But also spoke to someone from Bairnsdale just after the fires and just before COVID hit, as I recall. And I said, is there things we can do and to help? And the response I got was one that sort of took me aback a little, which was, well, what can you do for us? Rather than, I suspect you've had a lot of people going, oh, we'd really like to help. But, I guess with people's best intent, they're saying that sort of stuff. But it must be really difficult to get the outsiders coming in and actually doing stuff.
Yeah, it is a little bit. And I keep reverting back to like the COVID stuff that's happened with materials and supplies. I've been speaking with local builders and plumbers and stuff like that, and it's created its own boom down around the area. People moving out of Metro and stuff like that. So the builders are that busy, and the lack of materials, it's sort of just thrown another asset into it that they weren't really expecting, I suppose. So it's not as good as everyone is saying we want to come and help and help you. There isn't a lot everyone can do. It's just a matter of time and waiting for that sort of stuff to happen and processes. We did get a lot of different groups, four-wheel drive groups, a massive group from down the peninsula come up every sort of month or so and got in contact with farmers sort of direct and help with farming, fencing and rebuilding cattle yards and, from Boilermakers to just anyone. So that sort of stuff has been good. But it's just a matter of time and process, I suppose, unfortunately. Yeah.
One of the funny things that surprises me is insurance. I know it's almost like being an anti-vaxxer. Some people either don't believe insurance or are happy to take the risk with it. Was there many cases down there where people lost everything and for whatever reason weren't insured?
Yeah, look, there was. Obviously the fires came on the back of 4 or 5 years of pretty heavy drought around the area and tough times for farmers and stuff. So a lot of calls had to be made. Some of them I know were only 12 months prior to the fires coming through that, righto, this year we just can't afford our insurance. We have to insure our farming equipment, say, and we'll just have to risk the house. And then unfortunately the house gets lost as well as the farming equipment, but they can get the farming stuff back and back to work, but they haven't got somewhere to live. So, yeah, there is a couple of stories like that. They have, obviously, again, the community and the wider community has definitely jumped on board and helped with them, and us as a club have really tried to support them in any way we can, whether it's just something little. giving the kids a feed at the footy or something like that, or decking them out in their club colours so they know that they're a part of us and we're all here together. So, yeah.
Because I suspect you hear of these sorts of things happening all the time, and clearly Rob and I are extremely fortunate that we've never had to confront anything like this at all. But, you hear stories of a fire going through an area like that and everybody's house except for two of them gets flattened, and the other two just sit there proudly on the hill, completely unaffected. Were there a few of those, and how are the people who are in that situation dealing with it? Because there's often a real guilt thing comes through.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're spot on there. Yeah, I know, like even in the main street of Buchan, there's one house there that was fully lost, and there's a house beside it. It's a fully weatherboard, older house, gardens right up to the edge of it, and you just think, well, look, why that one and not that one? And the people are feeling the same a little bit. Straight afterwards, they're walking around trying to help everyone, and they sort of feel a bit guilty themselves that they've still got a house where other people have lost theirs. So, yeah, there was a bit of that early days. Which, again, I don't know the correct answer or the right way to fix that. I don't think anyone does. Everyone takes it differently. It's just a bit of time and just slowly letting people to talk when they're ready, being there to listen to them, and whether they want to talk about anything in general.
It's a bit like reading a book about grief, isn't it? There's no direct answer and there's no specific, correct answer. It's just the way people deal with it.
Yeah, and like I said, everyone deals with it different. There's different age groups and different genders and everything like that, and everyone's just gone through a different experience themselves. Some people have never seen that sort of stuff before. The line of work I work in, we deal with bushfires with machinery and stuff, so you understand that side, but when it comes in through a town, it's a whole other kettle of fish. But we're all trying to stay positive, mate. We are getting I suppose.
Matt, interestingly, a lot of clubs in small communities have been drying up, particularly a long way away from Melbourne, or in our case Geelong, where their young people move out of the place for work and the clubs start to shrivel up a bit. Yours might be similar, but have the bushfires created a positive in that the clubs became the hub of the town? People were drawn to them. Has it helped you build your numbers and interest within the clubs?
Definitely has. We were a bit wary, I suppose, as most clubs were, just directly after the fires, of what the future would hold for the club in general. And prior to that, there was diminishing numbers of locals, like local young boys and girls that were still around the area playing. So you're sort of looking afar to keep the club running. So then after the fires come through, we didn't know how that would look. But yeah, I'd say it has actually sort of boosted us a little bit. People have jumped on board and seen what sort of good core group we've got there and good atmosphere, and like family. We're really on about family atmosphere, as well as having a bit of fun, because that's what it's all about at the end of the day, is chasing a football or a netball around on a court or a football field, but also having a bit of a drink and just to talk to someone that you mightn't see for the week or for a fortnight. But that's what it's sort of all about in areas like ourselves. Yeah.
Well, as we start to wind towards 11 o'clock, we better let you go and go and do some things with your day. We've got lots of listeners who are probably wondering what to do with their Christmas break, because, I'd often go off to Queensland or whatever. We would encourage them to go and stay at, I think the Buchan Hotel's got some accommodation, but, Bairnsdale, Bruthen, Lakes Entrance, Orbost, go and stay somewhere there and go and spend some time up there. Go and buy a meal at the Buchan pub and, do some shopping in the township. I'm sure that Matt and the team would love to see you up there.
Yeah, that'd really be really good. There's lots of accommodation up there, Airbnbs, cottages, all that sort of stuff, bed and breakfast, and then obviously the local hotel for a good feed and a drink, and the caves and stuff like that. So, yeah, it would be good to just help. That's one way everyone can sort of help the community up there, is just get back and they want to see people walking around the streets, walking on the river, just checking out the beauty of the area. So
sounds good to us.
Yeah, heading your way in March, all going well, Matt. Looking forward to catching up with you and the gang again. And I can't remember the name of that young fella you brought with you that had party mode embedded on his forehead. Very funny young man. Looking forward to catching up with him.
Darcy Edwards.
That's him.
Local.
That's him. Darcy, yeah, looking forward to catching up. Thanks very much for your time, mate. Good luck with your continuing fight to get back to normal, but it sounds like you've got the resilience to do it.
Yep, thank you very much for your support from over that side of the state as well, guys. We really appreciate it.